Welcome to another How To with Hal. In this particular series, which is going to take us a little time here, Hal, we're going to talk about stripping a brass model train, painting it, decaling it, the whole works, right?
I'm ready.
You're ready. So what we wanted to do at the outset here is we have our little paint booth. We just want to mention some of the basic things that are required to be able to do a project such as this. Now, we have our two models here. We have our Class A model, right? And this is the one that you're going to be painting,
right.
And I'll take care of the other Great Northern, the C1 there, right? Okay, so we'll take care of that. We're going to show how to do all of that and the reason why, even if one is unpainted, why we still need to strip the model down. Some of the other things we're going to talk about is the use of lacquer thinner as a stripper, and also the use of aircraft remover as a stripper. And we'll get into that as we develop these segments. Some of the things that are also useful tools is obviously our hemostats, our little brushes for being able to apply the aircraft remover, right? And you got other brushes here. So those are some of the things that we're going to look at in the next segment here as far as stripping the models. And also some of the other tools. Our Badger airbrush. You happen to like the Badger, right?
I've been using that since 1977.
Not this one.
Not that one. I've got about 4 or 5 of them at the house.
And the difference between the Badger and Pache, or Posh, however they say, Pache.
I had one Pache and it was an external mix.
Yeah.
Don't paint brass trains with external mix because
Okay.
the paint doesn't come. That's good for painting t-shirts.
Yeah. And it's also the difference between a single and a double action, right?
Yeah. The thing I don't like about I think the 150 is a double action. The stop, there's a set screw where you can control the flow. It controls the minimal flow, which you can't mess up an engine if you don't get enough paint.
Okay.
But when you pull back on it, there was no stop. And when I tried it one time, I pulled back and I got too much paint on the model and got to run. So I just threw it back in the cabinet and went back to my 200.
Okay, so we're going to see how and why you like this one as we develop these series. We also just wanted to highlight our paint booth here. We've got our filtration system in the back. It's nice that in this particular building we hear very little of the air. That's because it's got a big vacuum that actually pulls it outside, so that's great. We've got our air line. We need that. You also mentioned as far as using the Badger airbrush. Now down here in Florida, we've got a lot of humidity.
Yes.
So you like to spray with nitrogen, right?
Yeah, I have nitrogen at home.
Okay.
When I was living in Palm Harbor, I was painting a no-scale model out in the garage with a Badger with a large tip. And I was putting out the paint, and I had just my regular air compressor. And I noticed some blushing in the paint, which is moisture. So I went to nitrogen. Also, you can get these little oilless compressors.
Yes, yes.
I call those bilge pumps. They pump the water out of the air and put it in your paint.
Yeah.
And you can put moisture traps, but
Right.
that traps the visible water.
Yeah.
The humidity's still there.
Right,
So that's
right.
why I go to nitrogen.
Okay, so that's good for us here in Florida. Individual wants to use it. I think it's like about $30 to fill this tank,
Yeah,
right?
to fill the tank.
So it's not bad at all.
And I own my tank, but when I go down to fill it, they just exchange tanks. And that way the testing on it is always current.
Very good. Okay, excellent. Some of the other things, obviously our paints. Now we happen to have a few different varieties here. We've got Scale Coat, we've got Star Brand, we've also got True Color. Now I know you like to spray with Scale Coat, and so we'll go ahead and spray with that when we do these particular models, and I know that there's differences between them. A couple of these dry faster than the Scale Coat. Scale Coat, as you're going to explain when we go through it, why you feel that it's a better one to use. Okay.
I started out with flow quail. I started
Yeah.
out with model airplane dope.
Boy, we're speaking of shorts, stripping, dope. I don't know. It's another show.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Okay. We've got our airline, and then we also have our oven, right? See, so we'll go ahead and show how we go and bake a model. All right, so we'll show that in the next episode when we get ready to do that. But that's just some of the tools. And of course, we don't want to forget our safety gear. Now we've got our gloves, and we'll explain a little bit about which ones we use and how different chemicals can affect different types of gloves.
This is probably a medical exam glove. And I put some of the
Aircraft remover on it.
aircraft remover on it.
Ouch.
Eats a hole in it.
Yeah.
Now, another bad thing about these gloves, you're handling your model, you got a little corner here from the coupler lift bar, catches in the glove, and you pull the model away, part of it stays in the glove.
Yep.
I do my painting at home in my kitchen sink, which is stainless steel, and I've got a strainer in the bottom in case any parts come off. And I don't use rubber gloves. I hold the model with hemostat or
Sure.
put a wooden tube or metal tube down the ball and screw it.
Okay.
Some people, if you're clumsy and you want to maybe go to your rubber gloves.
Yeah, a little harder gloves. Okay, so we'll explain that too. And by the way, my wife won't let me do mine in the kitchen sink. I don't know why, but she won't.
Gee. Oh, one more thing.
Yes.
Kitchen countertops.
Yeah.
Mine is granite. This is not going to hurt the granite. There are some, we talked about
maybe
it earlier.
Corian or something like that.
There's a poured surface. This will damage it.
Okay. So definitely things to be careful of and be mindful of when we're doing that.
If you're going to do this in the kitchen, just get you a big cookie sheet, or I use a plate, and I got a cookie sheet also, depending on what I'm doing.
Okay. And then the other things is, we worry about ventilation, mask. We're going to get into all of that, glasses, protective wear, where we need it, where perhaps we can get away with not needing it, okay? So we look forward to that. Let's go ahead and get into our project. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and take these models apart to get them ready to be stripped.
What I'm going to do on this little switcher here, anything that's plastic is going to come off.
Got to remove it.
I'm going to take the plastic brake shoes off. I've already taken the coupler off. I'll take the boiler off the chassis and the tender shell off the floor of the tender. And I'm even going to leave the trucks on there.
Okay.
I ain't going to take them off.
Okay.
And the insulators on these Tensioto models, this stripper is not going to hurt them.
Okay. Very
Matter
good.
of fact, in all my years of stripping, I've never damaged a set of insulators yet.
Okay. Excellent. All right, so those are some nice little techniques and tips that we'll look forward to.
One more thing on your Rust-Oleum. There's a lot of strippers out there that are strong as this. They'll do the job, but they're not water rinsable. Some of them were designed for taking finish off furniture. You can't put water, so they don't make them water rinsable. You got to wipe it off. I think the stuff that you buy at one of the other stores is not water rinsable. You get water on there, it gums up. It'll come off with enough pressure.
Right. Okay.
But this works the best.
Excellent. All right. Well, we look forward to getting into that. So let's go ahead and start taking these models apart. Okay. So now we have it ready to go. Tell us a little bit now what we have here. I know we have our aircraft remover and we have our lacquer thinner. So just tell us what we're going to do.
Okay. Tensioto paint. Now, I don't know about Fujiyama paint, but Tensioto paint has a tendency to go into solution. When I put it in a lacquer thinner, it won't come off in flakes of paint.
Okay.
And I just wanted to show this, that I don't recommend the remover on Tensioto paint.
Okay.
Because if you got a white kitchen sink, you're going to have black mess all in that sink.
If you've got a white kitchen sink and your wife lets you do this in your kitchen sink,
don't worry about it. Brillo pad will take it off.
There you go. Well, give us an example here. We're not going to touch our C1 with this just yet, but you're going to show us what it should do.
Okay, it'll come off, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to go ahead and...
Oh, you're going to show us, so we're going to make a mess, huh?
We're going to make a mess here a minute. I'm just going to let that sit there for a minute.
Okay.
And then I'm going to brush. When I brush this off, the paint's going to come off.
Yeah.
But then I'm going to wipe this brush
You're going to show us what
on
happens.
that paper towel.
Okay. We got our little container here.
Yeah.
We'll just put it in there. Okay.
We're going to let that sit there.
Okay. There's no plastic on here whatsoever. All right. It's just a fine, clean, hollow shell. That's all it is.
Took the weight
shell.
out because if you drop it, there's less chance of it.
Right. Okay. No wiring, no nothing in there.
Yeah.
See, that's great.
And something I recommend for those who are going to want to set something like this at home, I have down on my floor some old carpet.
Yeah.
Carpet's a lot softer than concrete.
Sure.
And if you're afraid you might trip or something, you can put a piece of 2-inch foam down there.
Okay. Good idea. Okay, so can you show us this?
I want to rub this
here.
with the... See, it's coming off.
Yeah.
Now see the color of it? Mm-hmm. Now move that pan there for me, rolling.
Ooh, I'm going to show that to the camera. Yeah.
You're going to have that inside your sink.
Oh boy, what a mess here, huh? Yeah, that's no good.
Okay, that's all I'm going to do.
That's all you
this.
want to show us. Don't use aircraft remover on Tinshoto paint.
Tinshoto paint. Oh, it'll work, but you're going to have a mess. We're going to set that there. Now this is one that the engine got dropped.
Okay.
And I'm just going to smear one. I'm not going to take it apart right now.
Okay.
I'm just going to show you what
aircraft remover should do.
Will do to this one that's not Tinshoto paint.
Okay.
So we're just going to set that in the tray here.
All right. You know what we'll do is, let me bring this tray forward so we can kind of watch it.
See inside of it.
Yeah. I think we'll pick it up there, so no problem. We should be good. All right. Excellent.
I'll put that back over here.
So that's curing, and that's going to take the paint off in a different way.
Yeah, you want it to flake off. See, the Tinshoto paint dissolves into the stripper.
Okay.
That's why you're getting the mess there.
Right.
When later on we're going to put this boiler and this lacquer thinner, turn on the ultrasonic and watch this lacquer thinner, you'll get black. Okay, this has probably been.
Looks like. And can we hold that up here just a little bit? There you go. Oh, look at that. Flake right off. Excellent. Oh, yeah.
That's the way it should come off.
That's
now, this is not Tinshoto paint.
Right.
I don't know what it is. Being somebody's put a primer on there, this may be, and it's probably, I don't know if it's ever been grit blasted, but I remember in the old days when Flowquill was in business, you put down their zinc chromate primer over something that's been sandblasted. Good luck on getting it off.
Here, let me just take a look at that and see here. Yeah, boy, that stuff. Yeah, you can it's very smooth. So now we're down to, we're going to need to put our loco inside of this jar for our ultrasonic cleaner, right?
Yep.
And by the way, before we do this, what we're going to do is drop it in there. And how long are we going to leave it in here?
I usually leave mine about 45 minutes. It may come off quicker than that.
Okay.
45 minutes, I go watch TV.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm hungry. I want to eat some lunch.
That's right. Okay.
I got to keep up my figure.
I'm going to...
So let's put her in here and we'll go to lunch. How about that?
I'm going to put that in there and just clamp it. Now, if you will...
Tilt it forward here for you.
That way I can pull it out.
There you go.
Now turn on that ultrasonic cleaner.
And then we'll go get a bite to eat.
We'll go get a bite to eat.
Sounds good, buddy.
Okay.
Let's go. All right, it's been 40 minutes, Hal. Let's see what we've got. All right, let's bring it out.
That over, and I'll reach up here.
Let's
pull the little baby out.
Just put a little cover here so that we don't trip.
Put that paper under there.
All right, you got it.
And hold it
boy,
right there, and little.
Boy, she's looking good. Look at that. I feel like I've been scrubbing all day.
Just like it was when it was painted at Tinshoto.
Look at that. Very, very nice. What a nice, clean job. Just so we get it, can just tell our audience the next steps, and we're going to go ahead and take care of the tender and the underbodies. We're going to put them inside the ultrasonic cleaner too. We're going to come back and get those out. When those are done in about 40 minutes, we'll put all of them in there at once. But then our next step is to sandblast.
That's right.
Right? So tell me a little bit about what to expect when we go to sandblast this model.
Aluminum oxide, 300 grit or smaller.
Okay.
When I say smaller, the number goes up.
Goes up, right.
Aluminum oxide, and it says removes the base metal. Mm-hmm. I don't recommend removing paint, especially if it's really on, because if you just say you're blasting this with aluminum oxide, it's painted, and the paint doesn't start coming off right here for some reason or another. As you keep blasting, it's removing brass.
Right.
So finally, when you get it off and you put your first coat of paint on, you'll see where that blotch of paint was.
So now, can I ask you, when you spray the aluminum oxide, so you're not staying in one spot, you're a really fine coat?
I go at a shallow angle.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, if you sit there with 280 grit, 250 grit aluminum oxide, you can remove rivet detail.
Yeah. So we don't want to do that. So it's
I just go down it, and I'm spraying at 80 psi.
Yeah.
I've never have warped a brass engine with aluminum oxide.
Okay. And again, the reason for it is because we want to do what?
The aluminum oxide is going to make that brass look like 2000 grit paper. It puts microchips in it, but you can't see. The paint's going to fill them up, but it gives something to paint.
Paint can. So we're going to make this shiny. It's going to have some dullness to it.
It's going to be flat.
Right.
Get
As soon
done
as
with
we can do it. But it gives us something for the paint to bite to.
Paint bites to. You
Excellent.
don't need primer.
Okay. Very good. So that's a technique that you use. That's awesome. We're going to take a look at that. So we've got our workout out with us for us here. We're going to put our tender and everything inside.
If you'll take that out for me.
Sure.
I will see if I can get these in there without destroying them.
Okay.
Put that down and I'm leaving the wheels and everything on it. The only thing I took off was a little tin shuttle emblem.
Right. And we'll put that on at the very end.
Now I'll say that everything on here, plastic is all gone.
Okay. It all fit well. We got it good. We got our work cut out for us. Our ultrasonic cleaner is going to be set for 40 minutes again. And by the time we come back, after we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and sandblast these. So in our next segment, we're going to come back with pieces that are, well, they've already been sandblasted, and we'll be back to take a look at them afterwards.
Okay.
Hal, we're at the point where it's like this is one of my most favorite things, painting a brass engine. So we went ahead and we've sandblasted, as we talked about on the previous episode, and now we're getting ready to paint. So tell us a little bit about our paint booth, what airbrush that you use, and our mixtures.
Okay, can we start off something on prepping the engine first?
Yeah.
Okay, there's been some discussions on the Facebook groups, how to prep an engine before you paint it. Two ways.
Okay.
Either grit blast it. If you don't have a grit blaster, scrub it down with some Ajax Comet and a soft toothbrush. That'll roughen up the surface.
Okay.
I did an experiment on the Facebook train groups where I took 4 of these paint jars and I filled one with ferric chloride, which is a chemical used for etching circuit board. It eats copper up fast, and brass is copper and zinc. Then I took another bottle with vinegar. Then I took another bottle with ammonia. I've heard some guys use ammonia. And then the last bottle was the aircraft remover.
Okay.
And then I took some 5/1000 thick brass foil, and I cut it into about a 1/2 inch square. And I put one in each bottle for 2 days. The ferric chloride was gone in 10 minutes.
Wow.
That's 5,000.
Sure.
The vinegar didn't change the appearance of it at all. So vinegar's not going to etch. If vinegar would etch, you wouldn't be able to put it on your food.
Right.
The ammonia had a little discoloration.
Okay.
The
Aircraft remover?
aircraft remover was a little discoloration. I mic'd them with my calipers.
Okay.
The ferric chloride was gone. Everything else was still 5,000.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I've heard people putting, all sorts of chemicals. You got to be careful with what kind of chemicals you put in there because you're going to damage your solder joints.
Right. And we don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that.
Okay, so the aircraft remover was fine.
That's good for taking off paint, but it is corrosive.
Right.
But not,
a little
not
bit.
so much the brass.
Okay.
But as far as the vinegar goes, a lot of guys say, I swear it works for me. I said, well, how do you know it works? Then I had another individual that would heat up his brass engine under hot lights before he would paint it. Well, then when you start painting, the paint dries before it has a chance to bond to the brass. You don't want to do that.
Because we've increased the temperature.
A cold model.
Okay, great.
Okay,
So, good
now
little tip.
on the airbrush, we have a Badger
200,
200.
right?
I've been using this since 1977.
Well, not this exact one.
They did change the tip. You notice it's got like a crown on it.
Right.
The original one didn't have a crown, and it used to collect paint inside, and it'd blow it out on your model.
Okay.
Most times you see some trash in your model, it's because it's blown off the air tip.
Okay.
Or you got some dirty bottles that you didn't
Right,
clean.
right. And you like using the 200, it's a single action.
Single action, because here's what I don't like about the dual action on the Badger. There is no stop for the max flow.
Okay.
The stop, the little set screw is for the minimum flow. If you get
Right,
it too
right.
minimum, you're not going to hurt anything.
Right,
But
right.
if you pull it back too far, then you're going to get run on your model. It's going to be a big blob of paint. That's why I don't like the 150.
Okay, that's good preference. No problem there.
Okay, here's our paint booth. We did a little modification before we started. We took out these fiberglass filters you had.
So we
do a
had the
lot of
charcoal
painting,
in there.
They clog up in a hurry.
Yeah, okay.
Mine at home, it goes straight up. I've got an induction motor, which is a brushless motor. It leaves
no
no
spark.
sparks. You don't have to worry about an explosion.
Okay.
If you smoke, save it till after you're painting.
Well, we left the charcoal ones in here to be able to catch that so it doesn't
But
go outside.
Anytime you have anything like this, if you do a lot of paint, it's going to fill up in a
Yeah.
hurry. Then it's going to reduce your airflow.
Right, right.
You don't want to reduce your airflow. My oven, my paint booth at home, I can hang a paper towel here, and it goes in at about 30 degrees. So I've got plenty of airflow.
Right, right. Okay. All right, so we've got that. We've got that taken care of. Tell us a little bit. You've got our Badger brush. Tell us a little bit about the mixture now with the paint, because we
Okay.
had our scale coat paint here.
I've done it so long, I can usually look at the way it comes out of the bottle of how much thinner. Normally I
Right.
go 50-50.
Okay. So so 50 paint and 50 xylol you use. Xylene. Right.
Xylene.
Okay.
I bought some paint quite a few years ago from when Weaver was selling it, and the paint was so thin, I didn't even have to put thinner in it.
Okay.
Matter of fact, the pigment was about half the amount in a regular normal bottle. So you kind of got to judge it by the way it comes
Right.
out.
And so you test spray first a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah,
We've
yeah,
done
I
that.
always test
Because you
spray.
might get the little bit of the orange peel. You got to thin it a little bit more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, if you get orange
Okay.
peeling, and also don't hold your airbrush like this.
Right, right.
I keep mine about like this.
Yeah.
You don't want the paint to start drying before it hits the model.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so here we've thinned it, and like you say, you can eye it a little bit, but go ahead and do some test pieces, right?
Okay, I did a little test piece. Okay, as far as holding your model goes, I've got a curved hemostat. Being this is a Great Northern, it's got the shoulder goes of the bell pairs inside, and I'm able to grip it there. I have gripped models right by here. It's not
Yeah.
going to hurt them.
Right, right,
And then when I get done, I just move it and spray it. Plus,
Right.
you're not going to see it anyhow sitting on top of the cylinders.
right, right,
Or you can put your finger inside.
right. Okay.
Or you can, I've done this. That's why you want to wear gloves. I don't like these clamps you put in there. I see people make because
Yeah.
they can. I don't want it moving.
Right, right. And it's important that as you see here, look at the model first and know where you're going to clamp it with the hemostat, because you're going to have to set it down at one point when you're finished,
Yeah,
right?
usually I'll hold it I'll just put it in the oven through there. Now you
Okay.
notice there's a little wire sticking up here. It goes at
Yes,
headlight.
yes.
Make sure that's not touching the boiler when you
Okay.
start painting. You want to just stick it out. And
Okay.
I removed the bell
Okay,
because I'm going to paint that by hand.
Okay.
Or I can even polish it with a brass wheel.
Right.
Have it natural finished brass.
okay. And we're also going to make sure to, and in this case with our model, anything that's already been, it's all been sandblasted, you want to do all of the black first, right?
I do all the black first.
Right.
Now, something that I did on this one, I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not, I'll rotate it around. I made a little bell cord stanchion.
Okay.
And the way I made that, I took some 20 thousandths brass wire and I flattened it on the end. And I took one of my balled in burrs, which is 0.3 millimeter, which is about 11 thousandths. And you better have a Dremel that you haven't dropped, because if it's got to be running true. And I kind of grab that wire in the hemostat, lay it on something wood, and take my Dremel and go in there and drill a hole in it. And then I got my silicone polishing wheel, kind of polish off the end of it so it's kind of round on the end.
Right.
But that hole in there and that little 20 thousandths is piece of wire is about 11 thousandths diameter.
Sure.
And for bell cord, I use 6 8,000 diameter brass wire. You want to do all your drilling before you start painting. Like I got the hole, some of them already come drilled, but there's a hole there for the bell cord wire. The whistle, I'm leaving that on there because that's probably a rod. I don't know if it's a, some whistles had a rope and some had a rod. This looks like it might be a rod.
Right.
But this is about ready to, should be ready to
And we
paint.
might mention we've done all of our soldering ahead of time. Any loose joints or anything?
Yeah, you want to go
do
through
it
and make
now,
sure
right?
nothing's come loose.
Yeah. Okay.
Something always gets bent
Sure.
on these hand railings back
Right,
here.
right,
They're always going to get banged around. And sometimes I've seen them break off and you got to make a new one.
right. Okay.
Okay, so,
So we're all set. I'll tell you what, we're gonna come back and we're gonna get all the fans on and we'll be ready to go and start spraying, okay?
Okay.
So we're just about to spray, but we wanted to talk about our mixture, Hal, and what we spray with. Now, there's compressors and there's this tank that we have here. Tell us what we have.
Here in Florida, you have high humidity all the time. And I remember when I was painting an O-scale engine over when I was living in Palm Harbor, just running it off my regular compressor. And with O-scale, I had a large tip on my airbrush. I had a 200, and it started blushing on me. Now, you can put water traps. They filter out the visible water. They don't get rid of the humidity.
Okay.
Now, that's why I switched to nitrogen.
So that's what we have here, a tank of nitrogen.
It costs about $35 for to fill that size tank.
Right, okay.
Now, if you don't have nitrogen, don't buy one of these little oilless compressors that make you deaf when you run them. They're noisier than anything.
Okay.
I call those bilge pumps.
Okay.
Especially in a humid area. You can put water traps on there, but the humidity still gets through.
Right, okay.
If you're going to use a compressor, have one with a tank on it and a water trap where you can drain the water off. That's better than those little, I call them bilge pumps.
Okay.
And I've been using nitrogen now for years.
Right. And it works good, right? And it's clean.
It's clean.
There's no moisture in it.
The atmosphere is 80% nitrogen.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's safe.
Very good. Now tell us what you spray at the pressure and everything.
I've sprayed at about 20 psi.
20 psi. Okay. So, and we'll see that it really flows on nicely. You're able to make some small adjustments, of course, as we talked about with the Badger brush, as far as how much the paint flow and everything else going on, right? So 20 psi.
20 psi.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start.
Now, let me get something you always want to do. Your model's been sitting around here for a couple minutes.
Right.
I always, just in case any dust has...
And we did actually see dust. I hope we picked that up on camera. I saw some dust come right off, which is good.
Yeah, if it's been sitting, if you sandblast things and let it sit around, you're going to get dust on it.
Very nice. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see what we got. I'm going to step out of the view of the camera here and let you do your work.
Okay, I did a little test shot here, make sure my paint was thin right. You can see on the back. I always start at the back.
Okay.
And see, notice how close I'm holding my, and I'll go inside. Notice I am not using a respirator because I don't smell anything. It's all going into the vent.
Sucked in immediately, yeah.
I remember the first train I ever painted, I painted it in my kitchen when I was in the military. Piece of paper on the floor and a can of Floquel black flat. And when I got done, the kitchen was full of black dust.
Oh, boy.
So I kind of give this a little short burst.
Okay.
Rotate it around.
Probably try to go down here so we'll catch it with that other camera, too. There you go.
Yeah, we don't want to get paint on the cameras.
It'll make it hard.
I try to get it a little heavier on
So we see it a little wet, right? It's a little wet, and that's what we want.
If you hold it too far apart, your paint is going to always have your airbrush moving before you hit the trigger on it.
Yeah. Keep it moving, too, so you don't have runs, no buildup of that.
Well, something I like about scale coat, sometimes you can, if you got it thin enough and get a run, it'll kind of run itself out. And you want to have plenty of light. You're always going to have to put 2 coats of black on,
Right,
because you're
right.
always going to miss
a little spot, right? And it'll show. That's for
It'll
sure.
show. You won't see it while you're putting it on the
Right,
first coat,
right.
but when you bake it,
Yeah.
and let it dry, you'll see it again. Or you'll see the area that you didn't get. See, I'm putting it kind of heavy on this back edge here.
Okay. Yeah, so since we know we're going to do more than 1 coat, don't go, overly do it.
Yeah. I'm not worried about the boiler.
Right.
Something we should have done, and what we forgot to do, was to remove the. We can still do that later when we get ready to put the green on. Is remove the steam dome.
Okay.
Because it has a screw. The other
Underneath
2
it, right.
domes have got there's sand pipes soldered to them, so you really can't take those off.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And from here, we go into the oven, right?
Yep.
And I'm gonna, let's open it up here. We got her ready to go.
And this is a standard roll mailbox with a 300-watt clear light bulb in it. Mine is that I use at home is twice this size, and I got a
Okay.
300 in it, and it runs about 160 degrees.
Okay.
I mean, if it's 60 in your garage, it's going to not get as hot. If it's 90 in your garage, it's going to be a little hotter.
Okay. And now, how long do you leave it in there? So this is the first coat. 30 minutes or?
No, I leave it in an hour.
An hour. Okay.
Sometimes I get busy, I may leave it in there 2 hours.
Okay.
I've gone off to lunch, left it in there for 3 hours. You're not going to hurt the paint.
Right, right. So the idea is we're baking it on,
You're
right?
baking it
That's
on.
exactly what we're doing here.
So I'm going to run some lacquer thinner through it. Then I'm going to take the ultrasonic here and dip just the tip of it in.
Very good.
I like to get it down just about like that. And I'm
Okay.
going to turn it on.
The outer one. Yeah. So let's do this. There you go.
I keep mine, I got a little small little ultrasonic. When I'm not using mine, it stays in the ultrasonic. That way I always know it's clean.
Right, right.
But now when you do this, before you go blowing out paint, make sure you've emptied all the lacquer thinner out of it.
right.
If you're not, you're going to blow lacquer thinner in the
Right,
paint.
we don't want that. Okay. All right, so while that's being done, we got our loco that's in there baking, so we'll wait for that and we'll come back and we'll do this next coat. It's been an hour, Hal. We came back, we got all our components out of the oven. Important point we want to mention though is that as soon as you open the oven door, don't go grab that model. Let it cool
That's
down
right.
just a little bit, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Some of the scale coat paint, if it's starting to go bad, it may be in there for an hour and it's going to feel tacky when
Yeah.
it's hot.
Okay.
This, when I put my hands in, this is a good bottle. It's one I've had a long time, and it was not tacky at all. It was
Okay.
hot and dry.
Good, good. Okay, so we see the model looks nice and shiny.
Yes.
It's a very good job. However, we mentioned that with coat number 1, you're not going to get everything.
You're not.
And
You're
so you're
gonna
going to
miss
see
some
some
little
spots,
spots.
right? So we turn it over. We can
And
see
you
some
can
spots.
see some little brass showing there
Yeah.
on the
Even on the
pipe
inside down there.
And I'll go back and I'll just touch up the bottom. And
Okay. Okay, very good. So we have all of our components back out. I'll let you grab that with the gloves. Very nice. And we're just going to spray coat number 2. Same type of spray pattern and everything
Yep.
that you use in number 1, right?
I'm going to turn it down to just. Okay, are we ready?
We're ready. Let's do it.
I'm going to hit it again on the back. I'm going to get around the pipes. Right now, I'm just going to do all the bottom.
Okay.
Want to get the end of the air tanks because you always. And then I like to get. Then I go down the walkways. Then I'm going to get the sides again. Sometimes you also end up missing in front or the rear of the domes. Go down the stack. I don't get too excited about the smoke box front because we're going to graphite that next week. I'm going to set this down here a minute. Go back and get inside the cab. This is going to get an oxide roof, so I'm not going to put it, it's got plenty of black on there. And something that I like about scale coat is you can go back, and if you miss a little spot, touch it up with a paintbrush. It won't leave any paint, it won't leave any marks.
Excellent.
I've gone and done these with a nice red sable brush soaked in xylene, dip it into a fresh bottle of scale coat, and I've actually painted the domes with a paintbrush, and it leaves no marks at all.
Wow, beautiful.
Saves a lot of trouble masking.
Sure. All right, so back into our oven, right?
Okay, I'm gonna...
And we'll just repeat this process with the remaining pieces.
Usually you always end up having some brass showing on the headlight. I always like to get the bottom edge of the sides, plenty of paint on that. And when you get done painting and you take this heat shrink off, cut it off. Don't pull it off, because you might pull one of the crossheads out of the cylinder.
That's a mess, yeah.
I like to put it heavy on the steps.
Sure.
Because it's got sharp corners on it. These rubber gloves, when you buy them at the drugstore, that's where I get mine, make sure you get the ones that have no talcum powder on them.
Otherwise you're going to leave white powder over everything, huh?
That's right.
All over it.
I've seen a lot of modelers put white gloves on, cloth gloves. You got to be careful, because a little hand railing or something will
catch on there.
Catch on that glove, and
sure,
good chance of it bending something or making the model come out of your hand. So be careful when you're using cloth gloves. After I clean these, actually before I cleaned them, I buffed them down with a wire wheel because there was corrosion powder on there from age. And like we put the boiler in here. Never put drivers in lacquer thinner that you've used to clean aluminum oxide off, because it will get in between the bearings and the axle.
Okay, good point.
If you don't want to waste your lacquer thinner, you can fill this up with lacquer thinner, put the drivers in there, and then set it in that solution.
Okay.
This we're not going to do.
Yeah, because we're going to do our graphite on that. Okay, so we're in for set number 2. Our second coat is on there. We're going to do the same thing, let it dry, and then we can come back out and see about applying the different colors now to the cab roof and to the front there.
Got any audio on it?
No. I shouldn't say that. Yes, it will record audio.
But you'll dub it in?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Like if I get some, don't get exactly on there straight and I get a little graphite on the boiler band, I just clean it off with a paintbrush.
Okay.
I told Sean at Minuteman Models, I says, brasstrains.com, we're pushing your scale coat paint.
What do you say?
He's not very conversational.
And so you never have any residue of the glue left over from the
If you get some bad tape, you will, but
Yeah.
xylene will clean it off.
xylene? Okay.
Or naphtha, use
Yeah.
naphtha. And when I shoot this, I always come from this
Yes,
direction.
yes. So it never gets up under that tape.
That's right. Like this, like that little area there. Clean that off.
Yeah.
Okay, now the cab. Actually, I would do this. I would do the graphite. Okay, that's. Actually, what I want to do here is I'll do this first in the smoke box front, then I'll pull it off,
Okay.
and then I'll mask this.
So to do
I want to do it in three.
Okay.
But now I gotta do the.
Because you're going to spray those air tanks?
See, then when I come in here, I'll come in just at an angle. That way I won't get it. I have to mask off that running board down there. The back side of it. You don't have any Tamiya paint, do you?
Well, I mean, I might have a bottle here and there.
Yeah.
What color?
Flat aluminum, flat black. Oh, heck, we can use this.
Okay.
I forgot to put that in there. I've never used that color before, but it's for painting purposes.
Model master. Did you mix it at all, or is it just that's just the way?
I got to thin.
You gotta thin it out. So you're just spraying those lines, right? You're just spraying the lines?
No, the
Bottom of the ash pan or whatever?
Yeah,
Side of the ash
yeah,
pan?
yeah. See, then I'll touch the rest of it with black paint.
Oh, I see.
And see, I gotta get in here.
Oh, so that's the way to do it. Spray the lines and then go over with black.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, something underneath like this isn't.
Yeah, you get overspray and stuff in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We had finished putting our models inside the oven, Hal. We've already sprayed them twice, two coats.
2 coats.
So now, just to fast forward in the process, we've removed those and we've gone ahead and taped off our locomotive because we want to be able to spray now in our graphite color. Right, we're spraying the sides of the ash pan and also the front of the boiler and the front of the loco there.
Something I like about scale coat, I can get a little sloppy on my masking because it cleans off.
Okay.
Get the tape off, and if you got any graphite that's gone on there, you can clean it off.
Okay.
With the thinner.
Okay, very good. So before we spray the smoke box cover, the front and the sides there, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the graphite color itself. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you mentioned there's a few different ways you could do it. Tamiya is probably one of the preferred paints to use for that.
It's
They make a flat aluminum and a flat black.
Okay.
And I thin it 50-50, you get a medium graphite. And their thinner is an alcohol-based thinner.
Okay.
You can smell it. It smells like alcohol.
Okay. So use their thinner.
That's
For
I
that.
use their thinner.
Okay.
I have not experimenting using lacquer thinner or xylene or anything else. I'm using their thinner.
Okay.
Because I'm not doing a lot of, you don't use a lot of paint.
Right, right.
And their little bottle is not quite that big. Maybe it's a 1.5 ounce bottle.
Okay.
But it's plenty for what I've got to do as far as graphite goes.
So you had the Tamiya. We also have here older Scale Coat 2. It's for plastics, but you're using it here just fine, and we're going to actually spray with that today.
Yeah, the reason why I like this, it's a little more flatter.
Okay.
Than the new graphite and oil that Weaver came out with, and Minuteman is using the same formula for their graphite and oil, and I kind of like it a little more, less grainier look to it.
Okay. And then the third one, I believe, was Model Masters. They have paint
we threw it away.
right through it?
That's for plastic models.
Okay. Okay. So those are some of the things that we can do. But let's go ahead now. We're adding another color to our model here, and let's see what we've got.
Okay, first of all, we got to clean our airbrush out again.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. Okay, there we go. Well.
Okay.
Okay.
A little smoke box cover here. And again, just a little spurts, right?
I do it in little spurts, that way you don't get runs.
Mm-hmm. That's a nice color. And you're going to also do this in 2 coats, right?
No.
No, just the one coat.
Because I used to- Okay, now we're gonna you notice the direction that I'm going with the airbrush.
Yes. Not up under that tape.
That way I won't get
but
under
across
my...
it. Yeah. That's a good technique to remember, because if you were to spray the other direction, you have a chance of getting under that tape.
Yeah, I'm going against go up under here.
Yeah.
Now I'm not worried about these little steam pipes that are coming out of the boiler. I'll just touch those up with a paintbrush, with a small paintbrush, and using Scale Coat.
Okay. And you mentioned that this is just regular masking tape that you're using, but because it's that Scale Coat, you can actually just go in, if any overspray, you can take naphtha, right?
Yeah. Naphtha or xylene.
xylene.
But I prefer naphtha because that's real gentle solvent.
Sure.
Okay, now I didn't mask under the running board, but I'm gonna come down at just at a little, I'm not gonna go like this, but
Right.
and I'll get inside there. And even if I do get some, if I can go in there this is under the model, I'm not really worried about. I can clean it off I can go back in there with the black if I get some
If you need to touch up
graphite
something.
on Okay, so I even got some paint probably on the steps, but all that'll clean off. And kind of got to make sure you get the front of the stack. If you're doing it this way all the time, you're gonna have and then down inside the stack. Okay. Hand me the lacquer thinner bottle over there. No, right here.
Nope.
That is the lacquer in it. No, here it is.
To clean out that brush. Very important to keep a clean brush.
Okay, if
if you want to run over there and get me the tweezers.
And so now you want to take your tape off before you put it in the oven.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because this way I can get off any.
Whoop. This is a sticky job.
I've had in the past. I've had masking tape pull off pieces. It gets too real sticky. Okay. If you want to get me that red brush that I cleaned right there with the screwdrivers, and what I'm going to do, you can see there's some little bit of
little overspray there. And so this is naphtha you're using, right?
whatever you pull.
No, I think that's xylene.
Whatever it is. Now, if you'll notice, I got a little bit of paint on the boiler band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is xylene in here.
Mm-hmm.
But now, if this was bad old paint, sometimes the xylene will remove it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I like to use, always keep your brush clean when you're cleaning off this overspray. So you can see there's some paint on there. See, something like this, I can take my scale coat, good fresh bottle of it. You'll never see a brush mark on that, cover up all that. Now right here you can see I've got some overspray.
Right.
Cleans right off. I've got some back under here. Got some that's what I like about scale coat. You got plenty of time to work with it. Some of these other paints that are on the market today,
Because they dry super fast, yeah.
yeah, they're too fast. Now, you can see I've got some graphite under the running board. When I do the pipes,
I'll just get that. You're not going to see that
Yeah, yeah.
under the running board. I might try and get some of it out here, but I don't want to take the graphite off the. I do not like masking.
Well, if you're able to spray it in a way like this and with that type of paint, and it doesn't dry too fast, it's probably a lot quicker to do this than to do so much detailed masking.
Oh, it's.
Because I timed you actually on the masking of this. It took you 13 minutes.
You want to find something that's fun to mask off, is get like a locomotive, this Texas and Pacific, or 410-2 with a Lesco feed water heater. It has all that tons of pipe under it. This is easy to mask. So then go down here and clean it off, but a lot of that stuff I can, like this on the pipes here, I'll just touch that up with a brush.
Sure.
You'll never notice it. Okay. A lot of this stuff on the pipes, they're gonna get painted black anyhow. Second still, but I'm not worried about that. I'll clean it off. So, okay, we're gonna put this in the oven.
Very good. Excellent. So after that is done, and then and it comes out, we'll go ahead and we're going to start then on our cab roof.
Do the cab roof.
And that's going to be in red, oxide red.
Oxide red.
Now we're ready to go on to spraying the oxide red on the cab roof. You've already taped off everything, which is real nice. Even you mentioned under the lip of the edge of the cab roof. And you're using, well, just some plastic, right? There you wrap the models in to cover the rest of it.
If you see this drip edge there, some people just paint it red as far as there, but I'm going all the way down to the edge of the cab. Northern Pacific was all the way to the bottom.
Okay, okay.
And kind of got to be careful where you aim your paintbrush so you don't go up under the masking tape.
Very good. Okay.
Okay, here we go. This oxide, I've got it kind of thin.
And of course, you mentioned being important about the angle that you spray at, because our roof vents are open, so you want to, spray at that angle to make sure not to get down in there.
Yeah, we got a lot of trash in this. I don't know what happened. I know. When the model's been sitting out for a long time, you want
Get
to
a little
blow
dust,
it off.
right? Yeah.
But when you put your dull,
You can tell you've thinned it pretty well, because it's nice and it's real shiny. And of course, be careful of runs.
I don't build it up. I build it up
you get a runs.
all over.
Yeah.
I don't start building up one place, then you'll get a paint run. Get up under the. You could actually touch that up with a brush and never see it. Okay.
Very good. Let me go ahead and turn our oven on over here.
Okay, you got to take the masking tape off.
Got to take the masking tape off.
If you want to, you can clean that brush for me.
All right.
While you're doing that, by the way, you notice I wrapped some plastic.
Right, right.
Just to be on the safe side of the part that wasn't masked.
Okay, so we'll unmask it and we'll go ahead and put it in our oven and bake that process. We've just finished painting our model and it's turned out beautiful. And we have it here, and our next step is going to be decaling. But now what we've done is we've actually taken one of the previous C1s that you've painted, and we can kind of go ahead and look at that for placement of decals. It really does help out, doesn't it? One other thing I wanted to mention, if one of our viewers, if they're painting, we have our online brass guide. And in our online brass guide, almost 250,000 photos there. So it's a good resource too to be able to go and look and see models that have already been done, and that certainly is a help in that regard, as well as other publications that have printed pictures for us.
I have a good photo file on my computer of locomotives. A lot of them I got from PFM, and they went out of business, and they scanned them and copied them.
Very valuable, isn't it?
Very valuable when you're painting.
Okay. So now when we talk about decals, I know we've actually on Monday Morning Express we've gone out here to microscale. We've seen how they produce these, but sometimes you can't get the exact decal that you're looking for. And you happen to have something called an Alps printer.
Yes, I do.
Right? Very valuable piece of equipment. I believe it's an Alps MD 1300, you said. Mm-hmm. Okay. Don't know how available those are yet. You might can pick one up here and there, but tell us why the Alps, you use that, and it's such a good tool to have.
Okay, it's, for example, here is the spoke box front for this particular engine we're going to decal. If you don't have an Alps printer, the number on this particular engine is 833.
Right.
Now, you're going to have to cut out one letter at a time.
The 8, the 3, and the 3, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And
those are mighty small.
You've got that's mighty small, and you got the left side and right side, and you got the front number. Where on my Alps printer, here's just a little piece of black. This is black decal paper.
And by the way, that's from microscale
It's from
also,
microscale,
right? So you can get the
it's
decal paper.
compatible with the Alps printer.
Beautiful.
And it's a little thicker than here is a piece of their clear, which I did cab data on. Because on the microscale sheet, there's a lot of locomotives that are not on there. It's been made in brass. So I made all this cab data, got some of the information from the Great Northern, one of their little handbooks, and got all the information I need. So I made my own cab data. And the reason why I like the black, it's a little thicker than the clear. I mean, this, when you cut off, if you cut off a piece this small, it's going to wrap around your paintbrush. And when we get ready to put this on, I'm just going to puddle a little bit of water right here on this brass strip and set that decal in it. You know, it takes about 30 seconds and it comes off. And I'll take my paintbrush and put it into where the number goes. Well, the smoke box I did at home. Mm-hmm. We've got the one here on the tender I got to do. Just two sides, and I've already got them cut out. And here is the tender data that goes back on the tender. I don't have to go searching for it and cutting it out in pieces. I bid it all one strip. Now, the black, you can only use on the scale coat black. Don't put it on detail black, because that's not total black. Don't put it on local black. But you won't see it on this regular scale coat black.
Okay.
I could do it on clear, but as I say, this is so thin. I can catch this on my brush when it comes off.
Okay. So some of the things that we've done ahead of time, because we see that they're all cut out here, it's very important to have a nice, sharp pair of these.
Some people, you can get
scissors.
some manicure scissors that are curved, and they're easy to go around.
Okay.
Going back to the Alps printer, where it really came in handy, I had a DM&IR Yellowstone 2884, and it was, I believe it was a precision scale, and some of the paint corrosion was coming up under the paint, and to get the exact decals to match, because I had two of these locomotives, and the tender was a welded tender. I laid the tender on my scanner and scanned the old decals before I stripped the model and made some new decals with my Alps printer.
Beautiful, huh?
So that's
able to do that, and it's customized, and you have it all right there. You just highlighted for us, though, you mentioned the 4 colors, primary colors that you use in the Alps printer.
Yeah, you can get metallic gold, metallic silver, white, and black. They have some other colors, cyan, magenta.
And it's a dry print, right?
It's like an old typewriter ribbon. It's a dry ink. I could take
a 5x7 sheet of black paper or whatever color I'm using, and if I mess it up, I can take some lighter fluid and just wipe it off.
Really?
And start it over again.
Wow, that's interesting.
You got to be very careful when you're handling this stuff. It will rub off.
Okay. Okay.
Now, I could coat it, but this way, if you coat it, you can't clean it off.
Okay. So tell us now, we're about to go ahead and put our decals. We're going to take it off of the paper. We've got a tray of water here, of course,
Yeah.
and we've got our micro set
Yep.
from Microscale.
Okay, a little technique on don't use this. This is the weak stuff. The stuff in the red bottle,
Microsol.
Microsol, is strong.
Yeah, it'll really get to
I use strictly water to move my decals around, and then I let them dry for just a couple minutes.
Okay.
And then I soak it with this. On the tender Tenchetto models have fairly big rivets,
Right.
and I will put a puddle of microset in there, set the decal on it, blot up, move it where I want it, then throw it in the oven and let it and bake it for a few minutes. And it really snugs the decals down over
Right
the
over
rivets.
the rivets. Okay. Very good.
Okay, let's get this little
All right, let's
tool
put this out of the way and let's see it work here.
And we're gonna get my brush here, and we're gonna put it in there. I'm just gonna set it right here on this piece of brass. There's the 8.
So you don't dip it very long in the water, right? No need to.
I just let it soak, that way I don't have to go fishing it out of the water.
Such small little pieces, huh?
I'm just gonna soak some water on it. Okay, we're gonna, okay, 833.
So right on the side of the cab there. And now you did not put any microset below it right here, right? You
No,
just
this is
you
a
just
flat
laid that
surface.
on. Okay. You see them rub right off. Isn't that beautiful?
Now, sometimes, here's a little technique that I do. People probably say I'm nuts. A lot of times when this comes off, I trimmed it too far out, and you might see the next number. I lay that little decal on my thumb, and I take this,
Don't try this at home. Yes, Hal, you're nuts.
and I can trim it. It's not gonna hurt you. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah, yeah. We're
Don't
not. We're
do it
not.
after you had a couple beers. Okay, now I'm going to take this. I'm going to put this on so I can see it a little better. And I'm going to by the way, there is a top and a bottom to an 8.
Okay.
Yeah, give me your calipers there or something to measure with. You have a straight edge wrangling around?
Oh, let's see here.
I just want to get this, there we go. I don't have a inches on
measure,
it.
yeah.
I can do it with this.
Okay. Because you're wanting to center that, right?
Yeah, I want it to be centered. You can usually eyeball it. Pretty close.
Okay.
How's that look?
Looking good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put anything on it yet.
And so it's kind of nice that they're movable because they're still wet.
Yeah, you don't want to put this, once that's
That microset.
sets, you're not going to move it.
Yeah.
And if you have to take one off, I can take some clear Scotch tape or masking tape and press over, it'll pull it off.
Okay.
Okay, does that look straight to you?
It's looking pretty good, Hal. It's looking pretty good.
Okay, now we're going to take I'm just going to set it down on here.
Put a little water right on it, right?
Put a little water on it. Okay, those are the numbers. And I'll go ahead and do the cab data.
Okay. As we get smaller and smaller with them. Now, when you store your decals at home, is there any special storage that you have for them?
I just got them in a file cabinet.
Okay, so
The-
making
the
sure.
ones that I've printed myself,
Right.
I kind of keep them in an envelope so other decals don't rub against them.
Rub against them, and probably, external light, sunlight or anything
No,
like
light
that?
doesn't seem to.
No? Okay.
Okay.
And of course, we looked at our pictures earlier, so we know exactly where this
Now
is
here's
gonna
one
go.
that folded up
Oh.
on me, so I'll just stick it in the water. Get a little bigger brush. Pick it up. Kind of roll the brush.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got quite a bit of water on there. I'm going to kind of blot it with a piece of paper towel. How's that look, Roland?
Looking good.
Okay.
It's kind of nice having the black with
That's
the
why I
white there.
use
You're
the
able,
black.
you're able
You
to
can-
see it. Yeah.
Put that on there. Roll the paintbrush.
comes off.
And then position it.
Blot a little bit of the extra water off.
Is it because the extra water would make it float too easy,
Yeah,
right?
it'll float. I don't want it floating. Okay, now I'm going to oops, I cut the wrong one out on that one. That's an F8. Water running.
Have you ever had any of the decals, when you're putting it on, rip or cracked? Maybe they're a little older?
If they get a lot of, I have found out that they get older, sometimes they'll come apart on you. I have found out that some old Champ decals won't even come off the paper. Okay, I think that, oh, that says C1. Yeah. See how that thing rolled back up under the paper? You can imagine trying to put numbers on the headlights this small. So I'm going to now this cab data I did make on my Alps.
Okay.
It's a lot sharper. You get a magnifying loop, and you can look at or actually see the size of the cylinder, stroke and diameter.
Nice. I think the Alps is like 1,200 DPI. Is that it? That's pretty good.
It's basically a glorified dot matrix printer. Okay. Now I'm going to take my micro set here.
Okay. And try not to press too hard to move it, right?
Yeah, you don't want to move it.
Yeah.
Because that's why I'm letting it set up for a few minutes.
Sure.
And being this is all a flat surface here. Okay. Now we'll just let this sit. We could put this in the oven.
Okay.
We'll just let it sit there for
All right.
now.
Very good.
Okay, now we're going to do
Now we go on to the tender.
Gonna
right?
do the tender.
Okay.
And I've
And
already
so
got
we'll-
the decals cut out.
Okay. And we're just going to continue to watch you do your magic here.
This is the data for the
You can see it's already starting to come off.
And again, the black is beautiful only if you're using this black because it'll blend right in.
Yeah, you won't
Right.
see it. Okay, I'm going to take... Put a little drop of water. These decals come off real nice.
Yeah. And you cut the decal as close as you can to the lettering, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not too straight.
Oh, just roll it that way. This has got big rivets.
Yeah.
This is the cold data. See how that sticks to that brush?
Beautiful.
Doesn't wrap around it. Normally at home I'd have had this up like this, but here you won't be able to see it on the
Right.
camera.
Now, on your Alps printer, now, do you have to know what type of font and everything? That you
I
use?
have, as far as, I don't have this kind of a great, I've got Empire Builder fonts.
Okay.
But I'm using Arial Black.
Arial
which
Black.
is fairly close.
Okay. So now you must have that in another program.
I got it all
What?
programmed into my computer. By the way, the Alps won't work on anything past XP.
Oh, good to know.
So I have 3 XP computers at home.
So do you have it like in an Adobe file?
I'm using Word.
Word. Oh, straight from Word. Okay. I know guys have asked about having to use vector files or
I
raster
would
files.
not recommend buying an Alps printer without checking it out first.
Okay.
And make sure you get the instruction manual with it. And also, you need a special driver for it too, for the Alps printer.
Oh, okay.
And I was able to find one on the internet, but that was several years ago. I don't know if you could find it now. If you can't get the driver, you can't do it. But there is an Alps site on Yahoo.
Okay.
You can ask questions and
Very good. And you mentioned that another type of printer, was it Centurion or Century?
the other backup.
Yeah, what was it?
I have a Citizens Printivia 700.
Citizens,
Basically, it's a
okay.
European Alps.
Yeah, a
And it's
Printivia.
equivalent,
that
I
was
think, to a MD 1000.
it. Okay.
It doesn't, you can't do white in it, but I can pull the label off of a black cartridge and tell that it's black, but it'll print white.
Ah.
Okay, has that looked straight?
It's looking pretty good, buddy.
I'm gonna let that set a minute there, and then
Okay.
we're gonna. See, that's why I say I don't let these things float in the water.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, what I'm going to do here.
Put a little micro set on there to begin with.
Get a little.
Is it just because of the size?
Because of the
decal?
rivets.
Rivets, okay. Because you really want it soft to go across those.
I learned this trick from one of your people that you know Bud Parr?
Yes.
He told me all about this.
Look at that. Thank you, bud.
And if I remember this, center just about between those 2 rows of rivets. Now this one we want to get in the oven.
Okay. So we'll do both sides and then we'll get it in the oven. How long you want to put it in the oven for?
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes,
15
okay.
minutes. Why don't you hold that tinder up there for a minute? I'll slide this. Okay. Why don't you go throw that in the oven?
Okay. We'll do that.
Well, it's still wet. Let's put these little numbers on the, then we'll be done.
Okay. And then we mentioned...
Now here you can see this is number 833.
Okay.
Can you imagine putting those on one at a time?
have fun with that.
So I'll just slide that off. Put it right.
Beautiful. So small.
How's that look?
Beautiful. Yeah.
I'll let that sit for a minute.
Okay.
Since there's no rivets, I'm going to coat this with some. Go over there and get that oven turned on.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and put that in
right.
the oven.
We finished our decaling. It's come out of the oven, and so now we're ready for the next step, Hal, and that is to clear coat.
Right.
Okay. So some of the mixture here with the clear coat is a lacquer, a clear lacquer finish, right? And it's 1/3 of the lacquer, 2/3 of lacquer thinner. Okay, and so that's blended it nicely, and this is our clear gloss coat, and this seals in the decals.
Seals the end, seals the paint.
Seals the paint too.
And our brand is Def.
Deft, okay, very good.
I don't know if they're selling that brand right now. The brand that I've got at home is Minwax.
Minwax, Deft.
It's all lacquer, it's all the same.
And you could get them at like a Lowe's or Home Depot,
That's
right?
right.
Okay, so very good. So 2/3 to 1/3, very good. So we got our mixture. We have our model here, so we're ready to spray. And you're just going to do it just like, are you spraying it just like we did the paint, right?
Yep.
Just like we did the paint, so we'll do that and we'll put it in the oven.
Okay, you
All
ready?
right, very good.
Okay.
And like you say, that kind of seals in the paint too, doesn't it? It's a protector for it.
Can you hold that
Sure.
a second for me? Now, I don't put any gloss on the smoke box. I mean,
Okay.
I don't have to mask it off. I just go up close to it.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, do you have to be mindful of runs with this, right? So be careful not to hold it on there too long.
What's that again?
Runs with this, want to be
yeah.
careful.
It's
Just little spurts.
I like to put it on heavy, like on the tanks where your fingers come in contact, and it
That-
protects the paint.
Now, do you have to put it on heavier around the decals at all, or no?
No.
No. Okay. Look at that. Looks nice. Nice and glossy.
It'll be. You don't have to bake this, but I just kind of speed up the drying.
Okay. All right. Nice job with that, Hal. So what we're going to do is let that bake for, just a little bit, right? 10, 15 minutes maybe?
Yeah, it'll usually air dry in 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Okay.
But I always put it in there. And
Very good. Now we're going to go ahead and put on our satin coat. Now, it's the same type of mixture, but with a satin lacquer finish, right? And so, as we said, it's 2/3 to 1/3. 1/3 of the lacquer itself, and then 2/3 lacquer thinner.
That's right.
Okay. The one thing we wanted to mention when spraying this, though, is that you've turned it down a bit.
I call it putting it on dry.
Putting it on dry. Okay. Why is that?
It could end up getting, sometimes I have those glossy spots. You get it uneven, so put it on dry and you build it up.
Okay, very good.
Just my technique. I know some people, they don't even gloss it. They just put the satin on.
Okay. But we think, I believe you would agree, we think it's best to seal in the paint, seal in the decals with the gloss, and now we come along and we put on dry this satin finish. It gives a real nice look.
We'll probably put on one coat.
Okay.
You can bake it, let it air dry, and come back and put on a second coat, because you don't want it on too thin, because if you don't handle your locomotive right, you're going to rub some of that satin off.
Right, okay.
And put a
we don't
shiny
want
spot.
that. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see how
Okay.
you apply this, and we'll see this technique.
You can see it's just, I may have to.
Yeah, it's very fine coming out there, yeah. Just dulls down that shiny. And this satin is really beautiful because it can cover up a lot of mistakes, can't it?
Oh, yes.
There's nothing worse than a high gloss engine.
Yeah.
You'll see every
Everything.
imperfection in the paint and the model
Yeah.
itself.
And you mentioned about this plate and how we've only painted one side of
Yeah,
the plate.
always never paint the back side of it. That way it makes contact with all your bearings.
Good point to remember.
Dry, it's almost immediately dry. It's getting on there so thin. Notice how much I got left
Yeah,
in the bottle
yeah.
because I was putting it on a lot lighter than I did with the clear.
So Hal, before we go on to these, because we're going to mention this and we're going to wrap this up because we're going to finish here. So we have our wheel sets, our trucks here. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish spraying this coat and one more coat. But then in the end, we're going to come back and polish those wheels, right?
Yeah,
That's how you get the paint
I've got
on.
a little tube, or solid, not a tube, but a silicone, like the polishing wheels, but I got a little hole drilled in the end of it, and I just go on the axle tips, clean all the paint
Okay.
off the axle tip.
And we'll show that on the camera right now even. Okay?
And when I get the truck all assembled, rather than, I'll just lay some paper towel over a piece of track, put the truck together.
And just roll it across.
Roll it.
Excellent. So, well, we're going to wrap this up then as we continue to do this, and then we'll go ahead and do our second coat and put our model back together, right?
That's right.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Hal. We're going to keep filming, but we certainly appreciate you helping us with this segment on how to not only strip a model, we saw about sandblasting the unit, and now painting it, and it's looking really good.